I used to feel like I was constantly cleaning up after my own spending decisions. Not because I didn't understand budgeting. I had the spreadsheets, the apps, the well-meaning goals. But the real problem wasn't math. It was the way I reached for quick comfort when life felt too heavy, and how easily that turned into bags of things I didn't even remember ordering. If you've ever looked at your bank account and thought, "How did this happen again?" This video isn't here to judge. It's here to walk through a few small habits that helped me get out of survival mode with money and build something steadier, one simple shift at a time. The cart that stays empty. One of the easiest things that helped me pause impulsive spending was keeping a list of the things I almost bought. Not the stuff I planned for. I mean the random scroll and click things I didn't even know I wanted until 5 seconds ago. Instead of adding them to my cart, I'd type them into a note on my phone called almosts. That small delay helped me realize how much of my spending was just distraction, not real needs, not real joy, just a momentary fix. What's strange is that once something sits on that list for a while, I usually stop caring about it. It's like taking the pressure off a balloon, the urgency disappears. And the few things I still wanted weeks later, I felt calmer buying them because I knew it wasn't just impulse. This one habit built a little breathing room into my spending, and that space matters more than any budget category. Swap the scroll for a check-in. I used to think I could willpower my way through spending triggers. Just close the tab, walk away, be strong. But that rarely worked when I was tired or overwhelmed. What helped instead was swapping out the habit, not just resisting it. So every time I caught myself reaching for an online shopping app, I'd pause and do one simple thing. I opened my notes app and brain dumped whatever I was feeling. Stressed, lonely, just bored. I'd name it, write it down, and move on. Sometimes I'd go drink a glass of water. Sometimes I'd just scroll Pinterest for outfit ideas instead of buying anything. None of these were perfect replacements, but they broke the loop. I wasn't just avoiding the habit, I was giving my brain something else to do. It sounds small, but when you start rerouting your autopilot patterns, you stop feeding the cycle that keeps you stuck. Would I buy this again? It's easy to forget how many things we've bought that didn't actually improve our lives. Every few months, I go back through my bank statements, not to punish myself, but to gently notice the patterns. What did I buy that I don't use now? What did I think would solve something, but didn't? That quiet reflection has been more effective than any spending rule I've tried. For example, I once bought a $60 organizer, hoping it would make me feel less chaotic. But the clutter was emotional, not just physical. Seeing that reminded me that some problems can't be fixed with Prime shipping. This practice doesn't have to be deep or painful. Just ask, would I buy this again today? That question alone starts shifting how you choose next time. A guilt-free yes. For a long time, I treated budgeting like a punishment, something meant to restrict me. But that backfired. I'd follow it for a week, then swing the other way and overspend just to feel free again. What helped was setting aside a small guilt-free amount each month to say yes on purpose. Not emergency spending, not mindless clicks. Just a little budget labeled permission. For me, that looked like $30 a month, where I could buy whatever I wanted, no justification needed. And here's the surprise, I rarely spent the whole amount. Just knowing I had that option made me feel calmer, like I wasn't depriving myself or living in extremes. This isn't about being rigid. it's about building trust with yourself. A budget that includes room for small joy is one you'll actually stick to. Pause before you click. Most of my worst impulse buys happened late at night when I was overstimulated, overtired, and just looking for a quick hit of control. What I didn't realize for a long time was that anxiety made me more likely to shop. Not because I needed anything, but because clicking add to cart felt like solving a problem. I was trying to soothe something bigger than the actual item. Now, when I feel that familiar urge creeping in, I check in with myself first. Not in a big dramatic way, just a mental pause. Am I actually okay right now? If I'm not, I wait. Even 10 minutes of delay can soften the edge. You don't need a perfect plan. Just enough awareness to catch yourself before the spiral starts. Return it without the drama. Here's something I didn't expect. Simplifying my return process helped me shop less. Before, I'd avoid returning things because it felt like a hassle, printing labels, finding boxes, standing in line. So instead, I kept items I didn't love and quietly absorbed the loss. That turned into shame, which only fed the cycle. Now, I keep a small basket near my door just for returns. Label printer and a drawer tape in the basket, receipts in a folder. It sounds silly, but having a return station made it easier to follow through and made me think twice before buying in the first place. If you know returning something will be simple, you're more likely to be honest with yourself about what stays and what goes. Clutter makes you want more. Sometimes the problem isn't just mental, it's physical clutter triggering emotional spending. I noticed I'd feel the strongest urge to buy new stuff when I was surrounded by visual noise, overflowing drawers, half-used skincare products, clothes I didn't love, but hadn't thrown out yet. Even if I wasn't aware of it, my environment was telling me this isn't enough. So I did a quiet sweep. One drawer at a time, I removed the things that made me feel like I needed more, the almost good enough items, the half-finished beauty products, the things I kept out of guilt. The less I saw of that daily friction, the less I felt the pull to fix it by buying something new. If your home keeps reminding you of lack or chaos, even subtly, it's easier to fall back into spending. Clearing that out just a little at a time can reset your baseline in a way that no mindset shift alone can. And once that noise quiets down, your real preferences become easier to hear, one category at a time. At first, I thought the only way to stop overspending was to cut everything out. No shopping, no extras, no fun. But the all-or-nothing mindset just pushed me into guilt and rebellion. What actually helped was easing into it. I picked one category like clothes and gave myself a break from buying just that for a while. Not forever, not strict, just space to notice what I had and reset my habits. That small step gave me confidence to try the same with other categories like skincare or kitchen gadgets. The key was starting small and being kind about it. Trying to go full stop rarely works when spending is tangled up with emotions. But starting with one calm boundary, that's sustainable. Next month's list, impulse spending, often hides inside things we know we'll need, just not right this second. I used to get blindsided by stuff like birthdays, seasonal clothes, or running out of everyday essentials. Each time it felt urgent. So I'd rush the decision over by, or grab something just to cross it off the list. Eventually, I made a recurring note for next month's purchases. Every time I thought of something predictable, sunscreen for summer, a gift for a friend, I added it there instead of scrambling last minute. It turned shopping into preparation, not panic. I could wait for a deal, compare options, or even realize I didn't need it after all. Anticipating your future needs doesn't mean overplanning it, just means buying on your terms, not when stress is making the decisions. Clean up your feed. So much of my impulse spending didn't start in my brain. It started in my feed. I followed so many influencers, deal accounts, and minimalist recs that it felt like someone was always suggesting something I had to try. Even if I wasn't looking to spend, the scroll made it feel urgent, like I was falling behind if I didn't buy now. I started muting or unfollowing anything that made me feel that way. Not out of judgment, just to make space. My feed got quieter. My mind did too. Your environment influences your choices more than you think. Make it easier to say no by not being asked all the time. What to say instead? It's easy to cut back when you're alone, but what about when everyone else is buying something new? I used to go along with group spending out of habit: dinners, shared shopping trips, birthday splurges. Saying no felt awkward, like I was breaking the vibe. But later, I'd regret spending on things I didn't even care about. What helped was having a go-to line ready. Something simple like, "I'm doing a reset this month," or "trying to use what I have for now." No guilt, no explanation, just clarity. And honestly, most people respected it more than I expected. Some even said they wished they could do the same. Having social boundaries around spending isn't about being rigid. It's about protecting the version of you you're trying to grow into, even when the crowd moves differently. Count the pauses. When I was trying to rein in my shopping habits, all my focus went to what I couldn't do or what I'd messed up. It felt heavy, like I was always behind. What changed things was flipping the focus. I started tracking the wins. Every time I paused before buying, skipped a sale, or returned something I didn't love, I wrote it down. Not in a fancy journal, just a sticky note on the fridge, or a line in my notes app. It reminded me that I was making progress, even if the numbers didn't change overnight. That quiet sense of capability builds up over time. And when you feel more in control, you act more in control. Sometimes the shift starts not with rules, but with noticing where you're already doing better. The less version of you. This one took time. But eventually I realized, if I wanted to change my spending, I had to change how I saw myself. I used to identify as someone who loved shopping. It was how I relaxed, how I connected with friends, how I expressed my style. But slowly I started experimenting with a different version of me, someone who liked using what she had, someone who felt proud of not adding more clutter to her life. It wasn't a big announcement, just small choices that started to feel more me, like re-wearing favorite outfits instead of buying new ones for every event, like finding joy in having less to manage. You don't have to force it. Just start asking, who do I want to be on the other side of this? The answer doesn't have to be perfect, just honest. At its core, this isn't just about spending less. It's about breaking the cycle where shopping becomes the go-to fix for stress, boredom, or overwhelm. These habits aren't flashy, but they work because they meet you where you are. Even starting with one can shift how your money feels: less reactive, more intentional. You'll start to notice fewer "what was I thinking" moments and more quiet confidence in how you handle your day-to-day choices. If this video helped, feel free to like or subscribe. It's a small way to support more content that fits real life.